I'm trying to be positive. There's the big elephant in the room that relegation is looming.
I see a man with the weight of the world on his shoulder who's stepped in from MLS into this gig, and it's really, really hard.
We need to have a debate about the playoffs.
This season, bring it on. If you want to put it in for this summer, we might get there. Take it. That's fine.
Yeah, real coincidence. There's the Preston owner pushing for this as well. Hello guys, welcome back to the Sportsman Untitled, brought to you by Betfred. I'm joined today by Benjamin Bloom and Ollie Mann as we dissect the Championship action from this weekend. Obviously a massive game to come tonight, but Ollie, I think we should start with Sheffield United, who have won another game of football in dramatic circumstances away at Portsmouth.
Yeah, really good result. We've not won at Portsmouth in, I think it's 25 years, and so it's a really difficult place to go. But I think the most important bit here is, for the first time this season, we ground one out. That is not something we've been capable of doing. When we come under pressure, we've been conceding goals. When we can't sort of get any kind of purchase on the ball, we've not been creating anything. So to actually see us hang on in a game when, to be honest, we were second best for quite a lot of it, and then steal the 90th minute winner, that feels like so much progress. I mean, I thought the performance against Middlesbrough Monday night was one of the best we've played in terms of the way we took the game to them, the way we took it forward. This showed the exact other side of our game, and it was just so timely. We had to win it. I'm delighted that we did, I have to say.
Shades of Chris Wilder from last season, Ben, perhaps?
Very much so. Can I play devil's advocate, Ollie? Would you not rather be sat here, mate, saying, I'm really happy that Blades have gone to Pompey in an away game, controlled the game, controlled the crowd. Do you know what I'm saying? It's, yes, I can understand why you're saying that, but you've still got this home-away disparity, and Chris Wilder danced around it in his post-match, but I think particularly first half, that game could have gone the other way, although I do accept all your points about that you want to see that type of performance, but you want to see it alongside some more controlled wins away from home, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Away from home, we've got to work on the performance level. We've put, I think it's 4 or 5 games in a row where we've put really poor performances in, defeats in most of those games, so it would be nice to see us put together a complete performance away from home. Let's go away somewhere, let's control that midfield, let's attack in numbers the way we did at Bram Lane against Middlesbrough, against, we went on that run where we scored 3 goals, I think it was in 6 out of 7 home games. So it'd be absolutely lovely to do that away from home, and so I do want to see us exert more control and really impose ourselves when we're not at Bram Lane. But you have to take the positives where they come sometimes. And I think especially off the back of a run of sort of 5 away games without a win, it's just nice to get one over the line. And the way we've done this, I think, builds so much momentum, and it really does hopefully set us up that the next time we're going again, we turn up with a proper performance at Bramall Lane on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looked like Calvin Phillips started in midfield. Was it a 4-4-2 that Wilder went for here?
He did.
And is that a bit of we're talking about a lack of control. Is that how it kind of panned out?
Yeah, we went for the 4-4-2. I think we did that because we noticed that we've just not got stability in midfield since the injury to Jairo Riedewald. It's been really noticeable when we've watched that in recent games. I thought particularly against Borough, there was a point, and it sounds ridiculous when I say this out loud because I'm a human being, not a robot, but there was a moment where I was watching the game in the ground and I almost paused it in my brain. I've got like a screenshot that I can see so clearly where Borough got the ball, we'd pressed forward to try and force them into a mistake, and you'd got Ollie Arblaster stood on the halfway line, Siddy Peck stood with their centre-halves, and 4 Borough midfielders just waiting to receive the ball, and that's why they could receive it, turn, and be straight in against United. That's how they hit us so dangerously in transition. I think Wilder recognised that issue, and he thought, actually, do we have a balanced midfield? Do we know how we're going to be able to control this? We don't. So let's try and get a partnership up front. Let's try and hold the ball a little bit higher. Let's try and force back the Pompey defence rather than trying to control in midfield where we've just not been able to bring it together. It was great to see Calvin Phillips. I think getting 90 minutes out of him at this stage is huge because from now to the end of the season, we need him to be able to do 90 minutes week in, week out because I think he will bring that balance. I think he'll be the replacement for Riedewald when he's not available, and I think him and Peck could form a really exciting partnership. Unfortunately, Peck injured this weekend, so we didn't get to see it, but I think there's green shoots there, but I think we had to change because the midfield just hasn't been working.
Yeah, dropping Callum O'Hare seemed like a big call, and he obviously came off the bench and probably started going forward. Should we be concerned about Portsmouth? I'm feeling quite confident about them still. A couple of games in hand on the bottom 3. I think they're level on points with Leicester. Obviously, a home defeat's not ideal, but I'm still thinking they're probably going to be all right.
Look how we started the conversation. I mean, they had 13 shots in the first half. They've completely tweaked all the front areas. And if you're a Pompey fan and you perform like that in the majority of the home games, surely you pick up the number of wins that you need. So I think I'm the same as you. And when you look down at the bottom of the table, I know we're going to come on to Blackburn, but looking at all the trends of the teams down there, you wouldn't be the most trepidatious if you're a Pompey fan.
Absolutely. Is it on, Ollie? Are the playoffs on?
I mean, last time I was here, I was so bullish. It's definitely on. Of course we're going to do it. I think we immediately followed that up by losing 2 in a row. So let's not get carried away. Let's not be quite as bullish as last time. I still believe that from now to the end of the season, we are capable of putting together a run of form that would see us be within the top 3, top 4 teams in the division. I think if you take the next 14 games, there's no reason we can't be at that level. The most difficult games, teams like Coventry, they've got to come to Bram Lane. We're not going away from home to play the biggest teams in the division. So hopefully that gives us a nice basis to pick up points in the difficult games and then see how we can handle those away games. If we can sort the away form, we'll do it. If we can't sort the away form, we won't. It really comes down to that. My gut right now tells me that we'll just miss out, and it'd be so United to finish 7th after all of this season.
It would be more United to squeak into the playoffs on the final day.
Lose at Wembley, yeah.
I was going to say, and then win the playoffs. I was going to be positive. There has been a change in the bottom 3, but and obviously Leicester have dropped into it because Michael O'Neill, instant impact at Blackburn Rovers, winning 3-1. Brilliant victory for them away at QPR. Just impressive stuff, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, and how can I say this? Michael O'Neill seems a very humble guy, but a very intelligent guy, and he played the political game beautifully this week because he came in at the back end of the week and clearly said that all the prep had been done by Damien Johnson. Therefore, if the game is lost, it's kind of yeah. And then the game was won, and he said after the game, well, I thought I'd be in the dugout, just add a little few pointers, a little sprinkling. Look, I'm jesting a little bit, but by the way, the quality of a couple of the goals there, the assist from Morishita for the first goal was fantastic.
Jorgensen's both of his finishes were superb.
He's done that dink before as well, so he's got that. And you're looking for players that come in, we talk about all our January window content. You've only sort of got 14, 15 games, and if you bring someone in early in the window, he's already scored 3 goals. You want that impact. Is it a new manager bounce? Is there going to be more? I don't know. I'm still very concerned when it comes to Blackburn, but they've rolled the dice on a short-term appointment of essentially a temp.
Yeah,
because he's still working for Northern Ireland. But if we're sat here after round 46 and they're above the line, we have to say, well done, Venky's. That was the right thing to do at that point.
It was 1 win in 10, I believe, for Blackburn, and that win only came against Sheffield Wednesday, so we can almost scrap that, given how
Simon, what do you think happened with the talks with Rowett, though? Do you think he didn't like the smell of it, and the only person they could get was short term?
I think that's almost certain, isn't it, really?
They were heavy, the local press, that the talks were ongoing.
There's also a job at Leicester City still going, and maybe I think a Gary Rowett appointment there would actually work out pretty well indeed. Very impressive stuff from Blackburn in this one. We probably need to talk about Michael O'Neill balancing these 2 jobs at once in Northern Ireland with a playoff for the World Cup against Italy next month. This is such a rare
Which he said, Simon, he'd already done all the prep for the Northern Ireland fans. Don't worry.
He played the politics perfectly.
That will take care of itself.
They're not too happy about it, the Northern Ireland fans, and I can understand why. Especially if they lose this game heavily to Italy.
Yeah.
They're going to be pointing fingers.
It's a really interesting dynamic, and it's one of those that you do not see very often. I know we racked our brains before, and I think we came up with one example. Was it Ferguson at the 86 World Cup, maybe? But it's such a tricky one because it goes both ways. We're talking now about, if you're Northern Ireland, you'd be a bit annoyed about this. You've got all this prep to do. I mean, it's only Italy you're playing, isn't it? So they'll probably go in heavy favourites. So he's got so much work he's got to do to get them ready for that. He thinks he's done that ready. But Blackburn are in a lot of trouble. You're a new manager coming in, and in the Championship, the games come around really fast. How much time do you have with your team on the training pitch to be able to solve these issues, to instill your tactics? Not many at all. But where you would have the most time to do that is during an international break, when you can be on the ground, working with the team, giving a new philosophy.
Simon,
He's not going to be there. Where's he going to do? So the tactics for Northern Ireland are obviously going to drop potentially because he's not got the prep time because he's with Blackburn. And then the prep time that he should have with Blackburn doing the tactics is going to be away with Northern Ireland.
I've solved it.
Go on.
The Blackburn Rovers players jet off with
Go
the
to
Northern
Northern
Ireland
Ireland.
players. They do an international break together. In the morning, he's doing Northern Ireland. In the afternoon, he's doing Blackburn.
Perfect.
Northern Ireland reach the World Cup. Blackburn stay up.
But I think Ollie's nailed it, Simon. He's almost just a calm figurehead, and Damien Johnson and Craig Shaw
it's gotta be the
are
work.
taking the team the whole time. And as much as it feels like a no-win for the Northern Ireland fans, because, as you say, if they, chances of beating Italy it's tricky. And now he's thrown another thing into the mix of, did you not win that game because of that? But for Michael O'Neill at Blackburn, it's almost a no-lose situation, because if they go down, they were in trouble, and he was doing two jobs at once. And if they stay up, he's a genius. And I'm sure there's a line at the bottom of that contract saying, here's a little tickle, Mr. O'Neill, if we stay in the Championship, and they can go and find someone permanent next season.
We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. There's a scenario where he keeps Blackburn up and Northern Ireland gets to the World Cup, and they both want him, and he can't keep doing this long term, can he? Next season we can't be looking at Michael O'Neill as doing two jobs at once.
He did do a good job at Stoke, and we know Stoke has been a hospital pass. And I think as much as it's naughty, and I told you off for doing it with Lampard going across a season and so, right, there's my 40 game sample, and I'm like, Simon, the season starts in August, mate, you can't start there.
We're the best team in 2025, but that's it.
If you did that for Michael O'Neill at Stoke, I think there was pretty much 46 games of a playoff team there, and no one's got near that at Stoke. So very good manager, very calm, and I don't know, you tell me, does he start next season at Ewood? Or give me a percentage chance.
60.
Okay.
Ooh,
Yeah,
you went much higher than I was thinking 20.
Yeah.
I was like, I think there is very little chance he's still at Blackburn at the start of next season.
We'll have to wait and see. Let us know, Blackburn fans, what you think down in the comments down below. And with genuine seriousness here, and I'm not taking the mickey at all, well done to Sheffield Wednesday this week.
How can you
for
start
scoring a goal?
like that? Everyone assumes you're taking the mickey
But I'm
now.
not at all. Genuinely, it's been Boxing Day and they took the lead against Millwall. The fans getting to celebrate a goal, brilliant, and it's so infuriating they weren't able to hold on for at least a point. But credit to Millwall, up to third. What do you make of this one?
7 times this season, Sheffield Wednesday have taken the lead at Hillsborough. 0 home wins, and we said this, didn't we? And I get comments from the Wednesday fans. I poll every week, and I say, what's going to happen this week? They say, Ben, we're going to give a good fight up until about 50, 60 minutes, and then the quality, because everyone knows this when they're playing Wednesday now, Simon, that you stay in the game, and this team of loanees, free transfers, very young, inexperienced players is going to fold when you go to the bench, and when the real chips are down in the last 30 minutes. I think everyone assumes if you're level with Wednesday with 30 to go that you're going to go on and get the win.
I think this one was different though. I think 20 minutes to go, they were 1-0 up, and Millwall only scored because of an own goal which wasn't going on target. If McGee had managed to sort his feet out or leave the ball, they'd have had it a bit longer, and obviously from that point they collapsed. But I think this was slightly different. I'm trying to be positive. There's the big elephant in the room that relegation is looming. Stop smiling, Ollie, man. And we look ahead to that in some ways. But I just think this was different. I also think there's some concerns for Millwall here.
Yeah.
Ollie, given the struggle here, they played Bannon at the number 10, which I don't think even Wednesday fans would say don't do that. And it seemed like that didn't help them. And also, Crocombe in goal made a big error for the goal. And they've got Patterson on the bench. Is that a switch that maybe we think Millwall should make?
I think it's a switch that just makes sense. I think when you're bringing in that kind of experience as well, we saw Patterson last season and everything that he was able to do. And so I think it just makes sense to me of that being a change that you can make to immediately improve the level that you've got there, particularly coming off the back of a mistake such as this one. I think it is concerning because obviously, we've talked there about Wednesday's record at Hillsborough, how they've gone this season. I do think, like we've said, for 60 minutes, they're not awful. They're not a terrible football team over an hour. It's just that over 90 minutes they do often run out of team. But Millwall will have gone there expecting a much more comfortable victory than this one. They really will have thought they were going to go there and stamp their authority on. They've moved up to third. But I don't know about you, but I'm less confident that they'll be able to stay there than if they'd gone sort of before the game. And so, I think they'll look at that one. They'll be glad to get it off the books. They'll be glad to have come away with 3 points. But they might just be thinking about changes such as Patterson in goal, where they think, does that give us a better chance of continuing a challenge? I think it probably does.
Yeah, Langstaff, I think, has to play a minimum to
He
have made
does.
an impact off the bench, and Bannon's got to be an impact, hasn't he?
Bannon off. I don't understand the signing massively, if I was being honest, because obviously at the age when you're aiming to try and get promotion to the Premier League, you've brought him in to be a bit of quality for 30 minutes, picking the passes out and really trying to drive you forward. It's in games where you're struggling. Starting him here, it feels almost as if
play him at Hillsborough, though, don't you?
that is exactly what I think they've done here. They've gone, we're going back to Hillsborough, let's just play him. And it's almost as if they've taken this game complacently. They've gone, we're only playing Wednesday, let's put him in, have a nice moment at Hillsborough. They thought they were going to win the game easy. And actually, they did win it, but they won it hard. And I think that's a message to lots of teams in this division. A message to us, we'll talk about it later. But a message to everybody is you can't just sleep on it and assume the result's going to come. You've still got to do the work. You've still got to be professional. And playing Bannon in this game, it was done for sentimental reasons rather than for the formation and for the betterment of Millwall.
I think I agree with you there. Derby 2, Swansea 0. We need to move on to...
Can I just really quickly go to bat for Millwall, because I think a lot of their fans, I mean, we know as a club they like the underdog scrap thing.
Yeah.
A lot of their fans were saying, I'd much rather, you were really impressed with them when they went away to Coventry, albeit they lost, but I think the Millwall fans would say we're much better set up to scrap against a team that is perceived to have more resources and better. We don't like being favourites. We don't like being odds on to win an away game. And I think they'll actually, like you say, get that one done.
Get it done.
And prefer to play against teams that are higher up the league, I think is my reading. Sorry, go ahead on Derby.
That's fine, mate, that's fine. Yeah, Derby 2, Swansea 0. They've got a home win, which is a bit of a rarity for Derby this season. In fact, 21 points from 17 games at home ranks 20th in the league, but they've got 27 from 15 away, which ranks second in the league. 2 set pieces won this one, Ben, and not the best performance, not the most attractive game of football, but they got over the line, which is what Eustace needs to do at this stage, and up to 6th.
I think they had about 3% possession in the first half, according to the Derby fans. But you guys tell me, in terms of positivity at a club, gunning, if you're right, you said about 3 weeks ago, I know who the top 5 is going to be. We've got 6 or 7 teams playing for 6th. You tell me a team that's more positive in respects of Aguiman, double figures, Eustace, 1 year in charge, and everyone thinks he's doing a great job. Away from home, excellent. Sort it out at home. Smodics, debut, and Smodics is the type of character who's going to want to stick it to my lot and score a load of goals for Derby and say, well, that didn't work out there. Carlton Morris back off the bench. I think there's a hell of a lot. You mentioned Brewster when we were chatting beforehand. He's 3 for 3 and they're getting a tune out of that. So solid at the back, team shape wise, and I think some options attacking wise. And Aguiman's not playing in the Championship next season, is he?
Yeah, even benched Bobby Clark, though, didn't they? This
well,
weekend,
to be fair to Eustace, he said that Clark could, maybe he was just defending him after the fact. He said Clark looked leggy against Ipswich, so it was a fitness one, that one. But I just think loads to be positive about.
Yeah, absolutely, and into the top 6 now. I have to wait and see if they can keep hold of that. 2 challenges for the top 6 men at Deepdale. Preston 2, Watford 2 as well, Ollie. Ed Still's first game in charge, got a draw. They looked pretty decent going forward again, Watford here. I just feel like if he's going to be a success as a manager at Watford, he just needs to attack as much as possible, get all those players we love on the pitch and see how they go. Preston, a draw keeps them 7th.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I thought it was a really interesting game where obviously Preston got ahead, but I thought Watford were the better team. I think they'll come out of this one probably thinking they should have got 3 points. They'll be a bit annoyed that sort of run without a victory continues going forwards here. I think Ed still has a lot to be positive about. Like you say, I think they've just got to get on the attack, haven't they? On the front foot, attacking teams as much as possible. But I do think we need to give some credit to Paul Heckingbottom and Preston here, because the subs obviously made a huge difference. They go behind in this game, he makes the substitutions, they immediately combine to get the equaliser, get them back in the game and make sure that they don't lose it and fall further away from the playoffs. So I think this one's a really interesting balance, and I struggle now to pick quite which of these two I think's ready to kick on. I think if you were asking me which team's got the higher ceiling, which team has got the potential to be a really top team in this division, we were saying, 6 weeks ago that we thought Watford were nailed on to finish 4th and they were going to be the best of the rest.
It's this crazy sliding doors thing with this 20 minutes before the game at Hull, and then since then they haven't won a game and changed another manager. You're telling me who's more viable. Now tell me which club's more stable.
Yeah, well, exactly that. And that's where the question comes.
I think Preston have a higher floor but
Lower
Watford
ceiling.
have
Yeah.
a higher ceiling.
Exactly.
So how does that pan out over the rest of the season?
And it turns out Osmaric is quite good when he's not suspended.
Yeah, if only he could stop being suspended, it would actually help.
He
Preston out.
loves a goal on his return after suspension.
Yeah, and also for this game, by the way, Kiprianu, Rocco Vata, Iran Kunda were all out for Watford, and Barr came off the bench and made a good impact. So I think
He
set
scored,
up.
didn't he? Yeah.
And then did he set up? I think he might have set up the equaliser as well, the own goal. There was a few Championship teams involved in FA Cup action this weekend. I just want to quickly talk about Eric Ramsay at West Brom, Ben. They lost to Norwich in the FA Cup. Okay, maybe not too poor given the form Norwich are in, absolutely flying right now. But it does seem like things are getting worse for them. Stats are played 7, won 0, drawn 3, lost 4, scored 4, conceded 15. And I think the XG and the XG against, they're trending downwards, which is concerning.
Yeah.
I suppose the hope for Eric Ramsay is they're trending downwards and it's going to come back round because we've bottomed out.
A very positive way of looking at things. I like
I'm trying to be positive because I watch all of Eric's pre and post match interviews and I see a man with the weight of the world on his shoulder who's stepped in from MLS into this gig, and it's really, really hard. And there's already a sense that, and I don't want to say he's backpedaling because he might be doing exactly the right thing, but he comes in and we're going to do this and this with our back three, and I'm going to put these guys at wing backs. We're going to be amazing from set plays, and it feels like already he's going, you just stay in the division, stay here. And we've seen a couple of 0-0 draws. Dare I say, when you're struggling at the bottom of the table and you haven't had postponed games and fixture congestion is not going to be terrible, that the FA Cup could have been a good thing and a positive. But yeah, I've had to reach to try and be positive there, I have to say.
I think just as big a worry for them is that Blackburn result and the change that they've made. Because what we're talking about right now is two teams who've gone very different directions in terms of the changes they're making to try and keep themselves in the division. Blackburn have gone, somebody who's been here before, bit of an old hat, caretakers to the end of the season, get us safe. And West Brom, this feels like a summer appointment. It feels like a start of the summer appointment. You have the whole summer to really implement a new manager, get him balanced in. And instead he's just been dropped straight. It's almost like a hospital pass in terms of he's received it and you don't know where you should take it. And that result, I don't think that going into this weekend, West Brom and Leicester would have thought, well, we'll come out of the FA Cup and Blackburn will have won. I think they will have been banking on, a little bit of positivity, I suppose, that Blackburn haven't taken advantage while they're away. They've gained a little bit of a game in hand. Maybe they've got the edge. And instead they're coming out of it further behind and starting to really panic about, well, which team are we going to catch? Who are we going to be above? And I think that will be playing on their mind more than anything else coming out of this weekend. The defeat at Norwich maybe was expected, but the Blackburn win is where the back of their heads will start really starting to feel the pain now.
I don't like calling managers to be sacked, and I don't think I'd ever do that, but I could understand completely if West Brom made another change. Looking at the data and everything, XG this weekend, 2.57 versus 0.69. They're not creating enough, they're conceding too many chances, and they're not solid, they're not stable. No. Under Ryan Mason, they lost every single away game. I still think they were better than they are now.
Were you slightly surprised to see Ryan Mason trending on Twitter when Thomas Frank got sacked from Tottenham? I was like, did you watch West Brom? I love Ryan Mason, but that was somewhat of a surprise to me. But yeah, you're right. And you want something, anything. I know we said about Blackburn, 6 points in 3 games, possible no manager bounce and a win over Sheffield Wednesday. It's something. Whereas we've still got this, L's and D's, going down in West Brom's form column.
Yeah, really worrying stuff for West Brom. Let me know, West Brom fans, how you think your team's getting on at the moment. Probably pretty negative right now. We need to have a debate about the playoffs because there's changes on the way, it seems, to the Championship playoffs. Ollie, I can see your face. You're fuming about this already. 8 teams being involved in the playoffs, like it is in the national team. So I go down to 8th, rather than 6th.
It's not for me. It's really just not for me. I mean, this season, bring it on. If you want to put it in for this summer, we might get there. Take it. That's fine.
Yeah, real coincidence. There's the Preston owner pushing for this as well. The team that are just sitting in 7th. And
can see where that comes from. But no, I think ultimately, for me, this is the question that I think we fundamentally have to ask about what this means for the Championship, what this means for maybe English football more broadly is, are we building leagues based on competition, quality, performance, or are we building them for entertainment? I think if you say football's an entertainment business and all we want is entertainment, fine. Make it a 24-man playoff and we'll have a great laugh watching the games as they play out. But if you're actually trying to reward competition, performance, the quality on show, which teams are actually doing best, think about last season. United finished third on 92 points. Bristol City already in 6th were 30 points
The answer
back.
to your question is Millwall, 66.
Millwall on 66. So you're talking 26-point gap. Should that really need to be played through? We've done 46 games to decide which team's better. Why are you now putting us back on a level playing field, making us go again? I just feel as though what we're trying to do, and again, there's benefits to it. I understand why people will want entertainment. There is something about the playoffs that is the most fun version of football to watch. We all get bought in. As a neutral, there is no games of football I would want to sit and watch more than a good playoff, second leg. It's all tight. You don't know quite who's going to go through. It's amazing. But it's nothing to do with competition. It's just a way of manufacturing excitement for a TV audience rather than about sport being played for a competitive reason.
I completely agree with you. I also think you're almost losing a bit of integrity, not only getting 8th and 7th involved, and I don't think any of us have ever thought that 8th place should get a spot in the Premier League or a shot at it, but the games they're going to play against 5th and 6th will be one leg, which
Away from home,
but that automatically leads to more chance of an upset where the better team might lose. Ben, do you have any other views on this?
Oh, I have lots of views. First of all, I think it's very cruel getting a Sheffield United and an Ipswich fan, two of the worst playoff teams in the history of the competition, to talk about this.
We've got the loser of the 2025 last season playoff final and the loser of the 2023 playoff final.
Oh, and Ipswich have lost every which way away goals. Ipswich even managed to lose when you played against the team that was in the top division. We lost to Charlton back in the day.
The opposite side of that, Ben, we managed to get relegated from a playoff, so it's really gone well for us here.
There you go. Look, I agree with where Ollie's coming from, but it's highly subjective of where you draw the line. Where's your razor between entertainment and integrity? Because why 6th? Why not? Yeah. Why not 4th? Why not 8th? So that's completely.
Why not just promote the best 3 teams?
Subjective. Well,
yeah, that's a really good idea. Actually, Ollie. I've just come to think of that. That's a really good idea. This season, let's do that.
In particular,
yeah.
But, and I'm not suggesting that. I mean, these two things are different but linked. We have a big problem in English football with the chasm in finances between the top 2 divisions, and not that you should be adding 2 extra teams because that's cause and correlation all mixed up, isn't it? But it would help slightly give more opportunities.
It absolutely does, and I think it will help to maybe bridge some of that financial chasm. You can have a team, let's say, for example, Millwall last year, they'd gone through, they'd won the playoffs. Financially, that puts them on a level playing field with some of those teams who are always finishing 1st, 2nd, 3rd, generally the parachutes that come in. But the other side of it is, I've experienced what it's like when you're not good enough to play in the Premier League and you get battered week in, week out. And for all the joy and the glory of finishing 8th and getting promoted might bring you, that Premier League season would kill so much of your enjoyment of football.
Bank the money, take the parachute payments, and as Stuart Webber, the former Norwich sporting director, said, for certain clubs, maybe mine and yours, and Chris Wilder said it the other day, top 25. That kind of terminology. If you can't be a Premier League team, be a parachute team. But it's going to happen. They need a majority. The majority of teams don't finish in the playoffs, and they want to finish in the playoffs. Why on earth would they not vote this through, Simon?
Well, it's going to happen. I completely agree with you. I 100% think it will happen, but it just feels like it's moving away from what the fans want to what the clubs want because they want more of a shot.
A final positive we might get out of this. I know at the moment it's being talked about for the Championship rather than expansion through the EFL at the moment, but I think one positive that will be a knock-on effect is as this expands through the EFL, we'll finally get the 3rd promotion spot from the National League, which I do think when you look at the overall picture of English football, there is a really...
Can we get rid of the 21st place relegated in League One as well? That grinds my gears, honestly.
Yeah, it needs to just be 3 up, 3 down throughout
everywhere.
The football pyramid. I think the other positive, if I could look at this in a different way, is that we've seen the gap between 5th and 6th not really matter too much because obviously it's a home game second. This will make a game, say this season, Hull and Millwall going into the final day level on points 4th and 5th. If you finish 4th, straight through to a playoff semi-final, if you finish 5th, you've got an extra game at home and then you're away. So it almost adds another layer of importance to that bit.
Simon, if I can argue against the people that suggest it might disadvantage 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th don't win the playoffs anymore. It's, I remember the wild 90s where you used to get a few 6th place winners. I forget the exact year. I think Palace might have been the last team. Look, we had Villa in 2018-19, and don't tell me Villa were an underdog finishing 5th with Grealish, Mings, Tuan Zabi and Tammy Abraham in their team. Generally, the playoffs work in respects of you give 5th and 6th a chance. I know 3rd place have not... Yeah. We were both there, weren't we? I know 3rd place have not won the last couple of years, but generally 3rd and 4th do get there, Simon. And
so why wouldn't you just do a 3rd versus 4th final over 2 legs? Was that taking away too much?
We're back to and I suppose there is the dead rubbers at the end of the season conversation, but I tend to sit there on round 46 and there always seems to be about 3 teams that can still get in the playoffs, so I'm not necessarily sure about that. It's subjective, and having been observing it for 30 years or whatever it is in the current format, I'm a little bit resistant to change, but it might not be a bad thing. You never know.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. It looks like...
No, I've not convinced you there at all.
Well, if Coventry get promoted finishing 8th, I'll be the first one celebrating.
Well, and Simon, what a story that is going to be, by the way. Yeah. Who's the first who finishes 8th? Because they're probably going to have to beat 3rd at some point.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly who's going to be the first team who finished 3rd and looks to 8th.
Right.
Talking of Sheffield United, there's a chance this weekend that Sheffield United could relegate Sheffield Wednesday. What does this mean, Ollie, for Blades fans, and how important is it?
Yeah, I try and balance myself. I try to be somebody who's a little bit even. Sometimes, obviously, you want to have a bit of a laugh, you want to have some banter. And it's been an awful season for Wednesday, and you don't want to just pile on, kicking them when they're down. But this is momentous. This is one of those situations where I know for a lot of fans, they might say things like, well, they've been relegated since before the season started. Oh, they've had points deductions. It doesn't matter. I've been in a team where I've known I was being relegated for months. I still know where we were relegated. I still know when that day happened. I still know how bad that was. And in Sheffield, it feels as though United have been on top for a long time now in terms of the last 25 years, the majority of my life. But there are still fans who will talk back to the 90s, who will still talk back to Boxing Day. I think it was 1979, was it? And so we're talking about sort of 45, 46 years ago that he's still talked about as one of those massive achievements that everybody, you're never going to overshadow this. We will. If we can do this on Sunday, we will overshadow this. You will get relegated at Bramall Lane. And it's a massive moment for the fans, for United, for the city in terms of the impact that it has, because it remembers, it's generational. It's something that doesn't get forgotten. It doesn't blow away. If anything, over time, it becomes more important because the context gets further and further and further slipped. So this is a sort of duty that the club have got to try and follow this through for the fans to be able to have the jokes, the banter, the laughs, the conversations around it. But
can I take completely the opposite angle?
No.
Because you know that video...
I'm going to anyway.
You know that video where Michael Owen scoring the goals and Neville Southall goes, well done, he's 13. You're playing against a team that shouldn't be in the Championship. You're not going to not win this game. There's no competition. There's not much competition here. Sheffield Wednesday are going to get relegated. It's just a complete luck of the fixtures that it's come around at Bramall Lane.
Yeah.
And they're on -7 points.
Ask Burnley fans how they feel about the luck of the fixtures that saw them win the league at Blackburn.
That's different.
Matters.
No, that's different because that was a competitive fixture where they had to go and do something and they did it. Blackburn fans thought they could stop Burnley winning the league. I don't think Sheffield Wednesday fans think there's a realistic possibility of them getting anything.
No, maybe not, but it still has to happen on the day. We still have to turn up. We've just talked about Wednesday.
Turn up, that's it.
We've just talked about Wednesday against Millwall, though, and how for an hour they were competitive. They were 1-0 up, and actually, if not for potentially an unlucky bounce and an own goal, you were saying maybe they could have hung on, maybe they could have got points, maybe they could have got a result. It's not that they're blown away every week. They don't lose 5-0 to every team they play against. United have still got to turn up, they've got to be professional, they've got to do the job. Wednesday have got to come to this game and they'll throw what they've got at it. They will come at this to make sure that that doesn't happen, because they know just as much as I do about the history that this creates, the moment that comes as a part of being able to say, you got relegated at Bramall Lane. It's a final embarrassment in the nail of what has been one of the worst seasons they could imagine. And they'll want to avoid that at all costs. And to be honest, part of me almost wants them to, because it's just been like being kicked week in, week out. And it's been brutal to sit and watch. But as a United fan, there is something joyous about that potential situation that comes from football, and it happens the way it does. We can't control the context, but we can still control and enjoy the situation that we've been placed in. And the game itself, we've got to turn up, we've got to make sure we perform at our best. They're going to want to come and show more than they did in the reverse fixture at Hillsborough. I think they were expecting to lose, but disappointed the way they did in that game, the fact that there was a lack of fight. So I actually think this will be a much more competitive game than maybe you're thinking. I do think United should win. Obviously, you have to, because there's no reason not to. And I don't think that any of that context will ever take away from this moment and how much I will remember it for probably the rest of my life, because it's just one of those days.
Oh, brilliantly convincing argument that is, Ollie.
Can I just say, you're both right.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's massively important for Sheffield United. And you're right, it is kicking a wounded animal. But it's how amazing that you get to this point, that the exact points deduction, like you said, if they'd just beaten Millwall at the weekend, we wouldn't be in this conversation. And he's right, though, it is historic. And can I just say, and I'll look down the camera, fair play if you're a Wednesday fan and you show up for this, fair play for going, sitting through the fact that you might be about to get relegated. Look, I went to Carrow Road as an Ipswich fan, and it's not quite as bad. My team finished bottom and the opponents finished top. They took the lead after 1 minute, absolutely demolished us, and the Ipswich manager tried to generate a kerfuffle and got himself sent off to distract from the absolute chasm between the two teams. So I have been there and it's not fun. But yeah, have I managed to referee that? I'm like,
yeah, that's good.
Am I the parent and are you the children arguing? Or are you the parents?
I'm definitely the child.
Are you the parents arguing and I'm the child trying to calm mummy and daddy down, yeah?
Yeah, something like that. We should look forward to a few of the games happening this weekend. Basically, fixtures everywhere in the Championship this weekend. We must talk about, unfortunately, the timing means we're recording this on a Monday afternoon. And it's Coventry Middlesbrough tonight, Ben.
Oh, is it?
Tonight?
You didn't mention it.
Check out the WTF, what is going on at Coventry video that we did last week, by the way, if you want a bit more reference to that. Ben, Borough turning up and winning this one. Cov, can they do something? Can they get back to the top of the league? How are you viewing it?
Just so excited. And I think if Ollie can remove himself from the fact his team was involved, the first 20 minutes of Sheffield United versus Middlesbrough was far and away the best Championship football matches I've seen. I've seen this season. No right backs, taking 20 minutes to take a throw in. Both teams just going at each other, hammer and tong. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And hopefully we get something similar tonight. And it should suit both sides. You know, Coventry are not going to have a wall of 10 men going up against them. And whichever way it goes, you know, Borough are either hitting the 7-game win streak and everyone's going to be putting the red ribbons on the title, or if Coventry win, do they immediately become favourites as well? They've slayed the dragon.
I think this is the perfect game for Coventry. That's how I viewed it, because
you changed the tune from what you were saying before the lights.
I'm not that confident going into it, but as Mick McCarthy said, it can't go on like this. We can't keep performing like this. Either we go and we put a marker down and we beat Borough and back at the top of the league and we're fine and we're going to go on and get promoted, or we get hammered at home, embarrassed, and we lose the game, and then we have to make changes going forward in terms of formation or personnel. It gives me a bit of hope, but having watched Borough win 6 games,
it's a bit of hope. But I have to say, like, you know, I can sort of watch it and remove myself a little bit in that I thought, like you say, for 20 minutes, I thought it was just an incredible game of football. It's the best game of football I've watched at Bramall Lane this season, without a shadow of a doubt. But I would also say the level that I saw out of Middlesbrough for the first 45 minutes, I thought was the best team I've seen in this league by a long way this year.
In November, Coventry weren't far off that, were they?
Recency bias, mate. You've got to take that into account.
Out of 11. It was amazing.
11 out of 12.
11 out of 12. Sorry, go on.
But I thought that 45 minutes from Middlesbrough, I walked out of Bramall Lane saying for 45 minutes I thought they were as good in that period of time as Leeds were last year. That was the level I saw come out of them, because they dominated so much in terms of their quick passing, the way they could break out of the lines. I saw United swarming the press with 4 men around one, and suddenly their man had still got the ball and we were in the middle of nowhere. I couldn't believe what I was seeing with the quality. Yeah, it is a little bit frustrating at times, but I couldn't believe the quality they had on show. They really showed me a level that I wasn't certain they'd got, and I think this last 6 game run,
you're scaring him.
They're a good team. If you win that today, I think you'll have put in a fantastic performance, and I think actually that would be the catalyst to say you will go on and get promoted, because the level they're playing at, it takes something to beat them.
It has to be a marker, doesn't it? It has to be a marker. We'll wait and see what happens. Should we do a score prediction? Go on, Ollie. Give us a score prediction.
My gut tells me that I don't think you will have that level in you tonight. If they turn up and play like that, I'm going to back a 3-1 Borough.
That's what I was going to say. Go on, Ben.
I'll go 3-3. I'm there with my popcorn. How good would that be for the Championship, man? That needs to involve some kind of goal with a 9 in front of the time as well, which would be brilliant. But I know a lot of people were watching last Monday night. I think it was, and it was just great to see lots of snobby Premier League fans saying, "Oh, wow,
this is football.
Championship's all right, isn't it? Eh?"
Hopefully we get the same tonight. Hopefully we get exactly the same tonight.
0-0 incoming.
Take a point. Wrexham, Ipswich. We should move on to, Ben. Repeat of the FA Cup game we just saw where Ipswich got knocked out. How are you feeling about that? Pretty happy? Or
well, as Kieran McKenna alluded it to himself. Can you ask me at 5:01? On Saturday? Context is absolutely king. It won't be the same team if you make changes. And the brilliant Joe from Blue Monday sent me a message, and I think the average number of changes in the FA Cup from the teams that were played in the match before was 6.5. So every team in the FA Cup on average made more than 6 changes to their team. If you win, Simon, you look very clever, and Kieran McKenna has looked very clever for a lot of his Ipswich reign. If you lose, you disrupted the team. You've changed everything. And someone's definitely dropping points out of Borough and Coventry tonight. Ipswich fans, if you buy what Ollie's saying, will probably hope that that's Coventry. Yeah. If you think there's more chance of catching them there, and doesn't matter if you don't win your own games and look after yourself.
Ben, there's two bits of thoughts on this. Obviously, lots of teams made lots of changes, I do understand, but there is a week off between games. Did the changes feel a little unnecessary in terms of that sort of picture?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you get to the point where you've got the parachute payments, however unfair you think they are, rightly or wrongly, and then not use the squad that you've got. And the argument is it's just about getting minutes into players for what is going to be a run. Nobody has got more games to play than Ipswich between now and the end of the season, and nobody is going away from home more between now and the end of the season.
It also protects them. It protects if Ipswich have gone full strength and then lost, then they've got to go and do the same game again next week. And with the same
players.
Yeah. So maybe that's a sensible thing moving.
Why does that always happen though? We've got Leicester and Southampton played each other twice as well,
Yeah, very interesting indeed. Score predictions for this one? Go on, Ben.
Can I do complete heart overhead?
Yeah, of course you can.
2-1 Ipswich with no logic applied to it whatsoever, because that's what I want to happen.
I'll go for a barnstorming 2-2. How about you?
Yeah, Ipswich away form still worries me. Obviously, that win at Derby was huge, but
good performance, Ollie.
Yeah, it was, and I think that's one of the reasons.
Sorry to interrupt. Wrexham will play similarly stylistically than Eusty did. Parky and Eusty?
They will, and I think, though, for me, that was one of the reasons I asked the question about the changes to the team. Because obviously, having got that win at Derby, did you want to get another momentum in terms of another win away from home, just to stop those questions constantly coming in of, is the away form still a problem? With that in mind, I'm going to back a draw. I think I'm going to go 1-1.
And we've round off.
And very quickly, you two, if it is a draw, are you sitting here then saying, oh, Kieran McKenna, that wasn't too clever, or are you going to say, tag a point, move on, you were justified?
If you don't lose away at Wrexham, I think it's a decent result in the Championship.
It's a good point, but I still might ask the question.
Of course you will.
Which you're perfectly entitled to do so, Ollie.
Because that's what we do. And we round off by looking at an amazing game, I think. Norwich versus Birmingham. Norwich absolutely flying. Obviously, we mentioned their FA Cup win as well. Birmingham not doing too badly themselves, moving within 2 points, I think, if my maths is correct, of the playoffs. I mean, I don't think we can yet put Norwich in the playoff chasers, but they are the form team in the league, Ben. And Birmingham need to get a result away from home here, really, if they're to keep up their push.
It feels like a 1-1, doesn't it? That you want to pay respect to the excellent form of both sides. got to say, sorry, Blues fans, if there's a winner, I think it's Norwich, and they seem to have unearthed another brilliant striker in Mohamed Toure from absolutely nowhere. But both sides in really superlative form. I don't know, maybe does the FA Cup... Well, you're the experts on FA Cup logic, aren't you? Does losing on pens... Played well against Leeds, though, didn't they? Should be a really, really good game. I'll go down the middle and respect both managers and both sides. By the way, Phil Clement, if there's... I know Kim Hellberg probably ends up getting it, but has there been a better managerial performance? Eustace in 6th with Alex Neil. There's a few, but he's done brilliantly, hasn't he?
With Wilder.
Oh, come off it.
He's done it too many times before, hasn't he?
I agree with you. I think he's been absolutely superb. And I think also the pivotal result in Middlesbrough season is beating Norwich, where Coventry failed to do so. And I think 5 wins out of 6 it might be for Norwich.
Yeah. Norwich, the Kingmakers, yeah?
Norwich, potentially the Kingmakers. How do you see it, Ollie, and your score prediction, please?
Yeah, really tricky one to predict in terms of that turnaround at Norwich is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I just didn't see it coming as well when they made that change. I thought they'd get themselves out of trouble, but I didn't see this coming in terms of the level of performance and the way they were going to turn this one around. Birmingham, they just feel like a team who are keep getting close and then dropping away and keep getting close and dropping away. And I think this again might be one where they just start to drop away. I'm going to back the home win. I think Norwich's form is outstanding. And right now, I'm not sure there's many teams in the league I wouldn't back them against. I'm going to say 2-1 home win.
Norwich are 9 points off the playoffs with 14 to go. If they win 10 of their 14, they end up
having already
69.
won about 8 of the last 10 or whatever.
I know. That would be a ridiculous end to the season. I'm going to back Norwich here, though, as well. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. How about you, then?
Yeah, I'll stick with a 1-1.
Yeah.
But I think if there's a winner, it's probably the home side, yeah.
And I don't know who's organised the schedule. That brings us to the end of today's show. Next week, Johnny from Borough Break. So that'll be really looking forward to that.
Hey, you might really enjoy it.
Yeah, you might be in a great mood.
Johnny might phone in sick. You never
I'm
know.
actually feeling a bit ill, so you have to tune in to see if I'm here next week with Johnny from Borough Breakdown. Thank you very much for watching. Get your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, like and subscribe while you're there. But thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you later in the week for a review of Leicester's season so far. See you then.